Hey, Amy,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amie Cuevas. I'm Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening or watching, or if you're listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, ¿cómo estás?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm not gonna apologize, but I'm just gonna say in advance, today is a weird day, so who knows what's gonna happen on this show.
That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So before we get into it, anything else? Anything you want to address? Because we got to cover a lot of material since we last left you.
Yeah, that's my bad because I was at baseball games. So
You were at a lot of baseball games, so we're going to be
I,
able to get your input on a lot of stuff. So do you want to just get into it?
yeah, let's go.
All right. Why don't we start with updates, Amy?
Wait, you're not. Oh, that's right. You're not gonna pleasant good evening us till later. Sorry.
You know, ever since I found myself doing it twice in an episode because my ginkgo biloba is not working anymore, I have specifically I'm trying to train my mind to not do it until we actually start recapping the week.
Good to know. Okay. All right. So, like right off the top, the MLB on Tuesday did release the new 2026 schedule preview. So, for those of you who haven't seen that, check it out. See when and who we play. If you guys are planning a vacation, I know I already put in my time off for opening day. So, it's that time of year.
Well, you kind of have to because to renew your season tickets, right?
Oh, yeah, we already started with our payment plans and things like that. Like our invoice for the postseason just came out this week. So no, I just meant I put in with work so that I have that day off. Cause I don't want anybody by next year blocking that day off.
So either confirm or deny, or you can say no comment.
You're gonna
But
ask anyway, though, right?
well, I'm just putting it out there. Inquiring minds want to know, but by no means are you forced to provide an answer. But some people who are season ticket holders and had to renew were not happy with the hike in prices. And I know that you and I have talked about this. We knew that this was coming. They did not share with me how drastic, and I don't know where their seats are. So all of this can vary depending on. But like I said, you can either confirm nor deny or no comment. But my question is, do they have a legitimate gripe?
I mean, people are going to feel how they're going to feel. This is kind of how I feel about fanning, right? So let me just preface this by saying, like, nobody wants prices to go up, myself included. I am not rich. This is what I do, as my pseudo vacation. This is where I allot my money to go. That being said, I never like when it goes up. However, we knew that this was coming, though. So if anybody's shocked by it, I don't know what to tell you because it's the World Series tax. And let me explain. So because we do tend to start with you can do a payment plan, you can pay all up front. If anybody's ever talked to a membership rep, you'll know some of this. For those of you who don't, we typically set our plans in motion in like July or August. So while I'm not going to make a payment initially right away, you can do that 4-time payment plan. We did that last year before we even got to the postseason. So if it was going to go up, which it did, that was more the Shohei tax. Again, everybody was kind of expecting that. So this year, there was no way it was going to stay the same. We just won the World Series. We got Shohei Ohtani, just everything that's gone on, the spending that they did in the offseason, it was going to hit. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's still a good chunk. I mean, but
you think it's reasonable? I don't want to say fair. I don't want to say fair because I don't know if that's the right word. But like you said, you anticipated, you knew that this was coming, and you just said it wasn't that bad. So reasonable?
I mean, it's not that bad in that I thought they were really gonna really stick it to us, but it wasn't comfortable agreeing to pay it. That being said, I guess this is the price we pay though. Like you and I have had the conversation, like different sports have different models. Like I'm grateful that we don't have to purchase the seats and then pay the rent for like I don't even know how that model works, but like
That's
it's like
coming. That's the NFL. It's called a
yes,
licensing fee.
yes.
You're basically paying for your I mean, to license. It's just another way to squeeze money out of you. Amy, I think that is coming. I think the Dodgers will be oh, hey. I think the Dodgers will be the first team to do that. When? I don't know, but
I and
I
I
see
hope
them
that's
coming.
not the case, mainly because as we've talked about on here, people are getting priced out of going. Like, I know you're going to be going this weekend, and you and I can have that conversation about tickets where we can make it equitable and reasonable. But typically, when you see stuff on the resale market, it is exorbitant. Like, it just blows my mind how much people are charging for these tickets, so that people, unless they are a season ticket holder, they're buying direct and they get a good price. Like it does make it hard for families or baseball fans in general to go unless they have the means. So I hope that they don't go to that model because they have already priced a lot of people out of going to games. Um, but that's kind of why I'm just, you know what, I'm going to enjoy it for as long as I can afford it and as long as I can continue to go under this model. And if they do make that change, we're all going to have to, we're all going to have to make those changes. I overheard at one of the events that I was at, somebody was saying that there is now a waiting list to get on just to get season tickets, and there might be another list that you can pay for to like get bumped up, but you're still on a waiting list no matter what. And I didn't have to do that when I got my season tickets 5 years ago, so I'm fortunate in that respect, and that's kind of the perspective I take when I pay off my invoice every year.
I will say this. So I am going to the game on Friday. I'm going to go meet an old friend of mine at the game. This will only be the second game that I go to all season.
And
Now,
that's because you're the tag along basically on my season ticket account.
I basically yes, I basically for me to go to a Dodger game this year, I've been forced to go either by prior commitment or because I want to see people. So it's not fair for me to say, Amy, that I'm one of those people that has been priced out or that I identify with those that have been priced out. I have my reasons for not wanting to attend games this season. But I will say this I can totally understand because my father was one of those people that I always wanted to take him to a game, and he never wanted to go to a game. He would much rather watch it on TV. I am getting used to watching games, Dodger games on TV, and I'm like, you know what? I'm perfectly fine watching the amount of games that I watch on TV as opposed to the number of games that I used to attend in person. And you know what? I don't think the Dodgers miss my money at all. They seem to be doing quite well without it. But I am curious what you just mentioned to those fans that have been priced out how many of them have become comfortable with not going to games in person anymore and watching on TV? And the Dodgers are just such a separate. It almost like that rule does not apply to them. I feel like that would be really bad news to any other Major League Baseball
But
team.
they're a tourism attraction now, and that that
Exactly.
is that is the difference. It's not that they're and not that they wouldn't sell out normally. Like they always had good attendance prior to Shohei, but you are selling out, and a good chunk of that stadium is not predominantly baseball fans. They are there as a tourist stop for Shohei, for Yamamoto, for Sasaki when he comes back. And that's the state of the stadium right now.
Yeah, my wife told me that, in particular, for yesterday's game, the Wednesday game between the Dodgers and the Rojos, she had a friend of a friend who came from Korea
Mhm.
to specifically go to that game and to see Shohei
I
Otani. So,
I was just talking to a coworker, and he's half Japanese. So his mom they live in Atlanta, but anytime the Dodgers play in Atlanta, his mom goes to those games, and he's like, she's not even a baseball fan, but she goes to see Shohei. And it's like, it's just it's so interesting what a cultural phenomenon this is, that you have people coming from all over the world to see this man because of what he's doing and what he's accomplishing. And it is changing the sport. Is it changing it for the other 29 teams? Maybe only when they play the Dodgers, but who, I mean, it's the state that we're in right now.
I never lived through Fernando Mania. And so I guess it's really not fair. But for me, I mean, you and I, we talked about this phenomenon and how much the stadium is always packed. How many people are just obsessed with Shohei? The lines outside the stadium early in the morning.
The fact that the tours are now, like, half of them are offered in Japanese so that you can accommodate all of the people that are coming to visit.
So I don't know why I feel this way, Amy, but I feel like this is not as big as Fernando Mania. But I guess I have to be wrong, right? Like this with Shohei, this is bigger than Fernando Mania.
I don't know, because I don't know numbers or things like that. But I mean, they could both be big in different ways. Like,
Yeah, and maybe it's because you already had like international players who are already a part of the game in Major League Baseball, and they were already a part of the game when Fernando came. But I don't know, for some reason.
But you heard people would travel to other stadiums to see him. That's when those other stadiums would sell out because Fernando was there. And then if something happened with the pitching order, like, people would be upset, like, wow, I paid to, like, see him play this day. And it's similar stuff. Like, people are coming to see Shohei pitch, much like they did to see Fernando.
Yeah, so I think I'm underplaying it. I don't think I'm giving this enough credit as to how huge this guy really is and what he's doing it. But in my mind, my heart, I guess it Fernando Mania was bigger, and I don't know if that's accurate.
See, I mean, I guess if it's important to someone to quantify it, sure. I think it's just another big cultural moment in baseball, because it is cultural, because it's not so much the, like we're saying, like, it's not all baseball people that are coming, right? And that's fine. But it's more of a cultural move, because that's what you're seeing, the influx in the stadiums.
All right, let's continue with the updates before I so rudely interrupted you.
We didn't even get past the MLB schedule. So, yeah, guys, mark your calendars. Request that time off if you're going next year for opening weekend at any point. Let's see. So lots of moves. So as we were starting that Rockies series, because I know we're going to go into the Rockies series, continue with the Padres, and then end on the Red series. Kirby Yates and Tanner Scott had been sent on a rehab assignment, and then we saw them get activated on Sunday. At least Tanner Scott did, and then Kirby Yates got activated the following day. So we saw them in two subsequent series, so the Padres and the Reds. And then we did get to see right-handed pitcher Paul Gervais. He got activated last Wednesday, and so I don't know if you heard, he's 6'10". Like, I didn't get to see him in the clubhouse because I don't work during the week, but 6'10".
Yeah, that's Randy Johnson level right there.
That's crazy. But in that move, Alexis Diaz did get optioned. So Paul made his debut, his LA debut, because he just came up this year with the Rays before he got traded. We'll get more into that later. Kike went on a rehab assignment last Wednesday, and then that'll play into some of the other changes. But we did get Matt Sauer recalled for a game, thus optioning Paul Gervais. And then Friday, Matt Sauer was optioned back to Oklahoma City. So again, some of these like big roller coaster moves. And then we did see Blake Snell. He went out on paternity leave last Saturday. Him and his wife had their second child, and then he was reactivated on Tuesday. And then there was a subsequent move to Vesia went on the 15-day IL. So that's retroactive to August 23rd. So it is a right oblique strain, and that flared up while he was playing catch a few days ago. So they're hoping it's a short-term IL stint. He initially downplayed the issue, but it is the same side from last year in the postseason. So much like I think you were alluding to, something a little bit off with him. So maybe the overuse.
And he said that it felt different than last year's.
Mhm.
Last year's, he said, was more painful than this year. I know immediately people already thought, well, this is some phantom IL to give him the rest because he looked like he's tired. Whether it is a phantom IL or he really is feeling something, hopefully the benefit it is going to buy him some time. Because I know you and I, we talked about this last week. How do you find this guy time to give him a little bit of a break when you really need him? And so if it's bad enough where they have to, because you have to take him at his word. He said he fought them on it,
Mm.
but they're very conservative. So maybe this will maybe give him a little bit of respite, which is what he needs before we get towards the end of the season and start on that postseason run. Just
Which
real
we're
quick,
not very far from. We've got like a
no,
month left in the season.
we have, I believe, either 30 games or less than 30 games at this point. I believe it's 30 games left at right before they start the series against the Serpientes. Regarding the Blake Snell activation, Amy, do we know, is he still going to make his start on Friday, or are they going to push him back?
Everything that they said earlier in the week was that he should be pitching on Friday. So
Okay.
I haven't seen anything otherwise. So unless anybody else has, we'll just assume that he's going to go on Friday. With Kike getting activated on Monday and the subsequent celebration, Buddy Kennedy did get DFA'd, and then we just found out today he was outrighted to Oklahoma City. I think those were sirens on my side. David wants a taco. You
Shout
are
out to
safe.
David Wants a Taco, ladies and gentlemen. So,
You are safe. Those are not sirens behind your car. It was down the main street off of my studio. So sounds like we have a couple more.
and then
So
we have an encore there for David Wants a
yeah, just to
Taco.
make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Tuesday, Muncie was set to face batters, and he should be reinstated this next road trip. So we'll see. And then I'm sure people saw on Wednesday night that Freddie Freeman was out of the lineup. So he had a stinger in his neck shoulder area. So he is expected to play on Friday. And then Alex Call was out of the lineup as well with a lower back issue. So they're going to keep an eye on that. So as of recording today on Thursday, the day off when we are finally able to catch up, this is kind of where we're at.
Something to keep an eye on is that Freddie Freeman stinger, because for him to miss time, that means wow, that has to be.
Human.
Well, I feel like it has to be bad for him to miss time because I mean, you saw
That
what
man,
this
you've
guy.
got to drag off the field.
Exactly. So maybe they were just convincing him and they were like smart and they were just like, look, if you take this day, we have an off day on Thursday.
You
We
just
can
said,
get
look, we've got sirens
drink.
going. We've got all kinds of stuff going on.
But if you take this day off, we can get you 2 days off and get you rested. So I am very curious to see if he does play on Friday. If he doesn't, my eyebrows will go up, especially since I'm going to that game. But it's always one of those scary things, right? We always take health for granted, but just in a matter of seconds, an injury to those major guys, your top guys, that can just really alter things. So I think watch this space with that Freddie injury. The Alex Call one, I do feel unfortunately that's going to be when it's the back. I don't know if it's just one day. All right, I'm back to normal. It's like no. So and it's because he was at least he had a very good series in Colorado. So you were kind of, and speaking of him, by the way, did you hear his comment after he got the call that he was traded to the Doyers?
No.
So this went viral recently, but I guess when he got the notification that he got traded to the Doyers, this is his words. His first thought was like, "Oh, great! So this means I'm going to the World Series." So Alex Cole
Which
was,
that's reasonable for anybody. I mean,
yeah, he
look
was
at
pretty.
Kiermaier. Kevin
Yeah.
Kiermaier got a ring last year.
He was pretty. I mean, he's pretty confident in the Dodgers' ability there. But it did seem, especially with the way things were going with Michael Conforto, that Call maybe was going to get a little more playing time. So it is just really unfortunate for him to get this. The timing on this injury, I think, is a real bummer for him.
Yeah. And just friend of the team, did you hear last Friday that Walker Buehler was moved to the bullpen?
I did hear that. which is interesting because there's a couple friends of the team on that Red Sox, and I know that people loved Dustin May's first start in a Red Sox uniform, and they were going great. But did you guys watch that game against the Yankees on Sunday? For those of you Boston fans who were watching the show, welcome to the Dustin May 2025 experience. So.
Ever so positive.
Well, I know DJ Jesse was just like, well, why was Walker Buehler willing to accept a bullpen role and not a bullpen role with the Dodgers? And I'll just say this, DJ Jesse, I don't even know if the Dodgers had that conversation with Walker Buehler. It seemed like the minute they signed Blake Snell, it was like, thank you, Walker Buehler. So I don't know if the Dodgers,
which was always interesting to me because he basically made the same amount as he would have gotten, I think, in arbitration. I think it was arbitration. God, it's been a long year, but he made that with Boston. Like it was the same amount of money.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if the Dodgers envisioned him as a part of the bullpen for this year. I don't know if that was even an option. The Media Rojas putting him in the bullpen this year, he doesn't have a choice about that. It's either the Media Rojas are like, we're not going to play you anymore, or you can go in the bullpen.
Well, my friend had just told me that he got benched a couple days ago, or within the last couple of days. I have not had a chance to look it up, but basically he got benched, and there were a lot of comments on social media of like, DFA him. The Dodgers need to bolster their bullpen.
Well, I mean, we got a couple more days for that to happen, and the Dodgers are going to have to be real quick on that trigger and hope that nobody else will claim him because they're on the bottom of the list.
Well, we don't know that he's actually DFA'd. He just, so
no, I'm just saying
that's wishful thinking.
In your make-believe scenario, if they did do that,
oh my
the
God.
thing is they're at the very bottom of the list, so they got to hope that everybody else passes on him before they get to him. I wouldn't mind having him in the postseason because, like Ike, that guy he flips a switch. He's a different person in the postseason because nobody. No, I don't believe you, even if you say it. What he did in the postseason last year, no one could see that coming. And if you did, you have a DeLorean and you went and you stole a sports almanac in order to get that. Because
was that a Back to the Future 2 reference?
Hi-oh, ladies and gentlemen. And she's on the board very quickly. All right, go ahead.
Right. Well, you already you kicked off the Colorado series. I know it didn't happen till Tuesday, but Alex Call going 4 for 5. Like, I mean, just
are we going to talk baseball now? Are we talking baseball?
I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes, please.
Because if we are,
yes.
Let me go ahead and do something. For those of you familiar, you guys expect this on this show when I say, and a pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. I love you so much. Smile at me again. I love you so. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. That was for you and me. That was for you and me.
Pink, pink, pink. All right.
Okay, so the Doyers split the series in Colorado. They win 2. They go 2. It was a 4-game set. They win 2, lose 2. I think everybody was expecting them to go ahead and win at least 3 out of 4.
You know what happens when you have expectations.
There was a lot of frustration. And for me, to me, the most interesting thing that came out of this series. So I don't know if you want to start with this or if you want to go with Alex Call, but for me, the most interesting thing that came out of this Colorado series was that Mookie meeting that caused a stir on social media. And part of it was because of the play in Colorado. So if you want to go into it now, we can go into it now. Or if not, if you want to start with Alex Call, go ahead.
I mean, are we going into the rumors and whatnot? Because I figured save that for later. Focus on the game.
The reason why I bring it up now is because I feel those rumors tie into how they played in Colorado.
Okay.
So that's why. But if you want to,
it's fine. If we're going to shake up the rundown, we can shake up the rundown.
I interrupted you with the Alex Call, so go ahead and finish your Alex Call point.
Oh no, just the fact that he got his first home run as a Dodger and went 4 for 5. Like everybody was kind of buzzing about that. Like he had good things, and I don't know if you saw in that same game. So Buddy Kennedy had got his first hit. He had his first RBI. And he got so lucky because he overthrew in the bottom of the 3rd when Ryan Ritter was at bat. He overthrew that grounder to first base And the only reason that he got saved and it ended up being a single was that Ryan Ritter had that collision with umpire Lance Barksdale. Just I just watching it play out, it was like, oh my gosh, because you saw him just take out the umpire and him kind of just fall backwards onto the field. But it was just like at the same time, holy cow, he just got a major save right there.
That was the highlight in the very short chapter of Buddy Kennedy's life in your uniform.
Yes, poor Buddy Kennedy. Uh, what did you want to cover?
So I think people assumed going after that the Padres series after they swept the show pods. I think realistically there was probably a set of Dodger fans that were concerned that there might be a letdown going into Colorado. Now, Colorado is always a hard place to play. You're always going to end up using your bullpen. And like you had said on the show last week, the Rockies were actually playing really well. I believe they had won
Mhm.
7 out of 10. So it wasn't like you were. I mean, Ricardo Lunes on the broadcast even said, "Who is this Rockies team? This is not the same Rockies team that we had seen earlier in the year." So there seemed to have been a little more fight into it. So there was, like anything, I think that series encapsulated the inconsistency with this Dodger team since probably the month of June. There were a couple of games where the offense looked great, and then there was a game where a guy pitching for the Rockies had an ERA almost close to 8, and the Dodgers offense was completely missing in action. They just could not muster anything. That was what happened in the first game in Colorado. The offense was completely missing in action, and you're just like, what is happening here? So what I thought was really interesting were there were a couple of things that came out of that series, and they came from Dave Roberts. And one of the comments that Dave Roberts had said, because the person like Michael Conforto has been the Dodgers fans' favorite whipping boy all season.
Some Dodger fans, yes.
In that Colorado series, it seemed like there was a new whipping boy, and he wasn't at Michael Conforto level, but he was getting up there. And that was Teoscar Hernandez, and in particular, in reference to his defense. And you and I, we've had this conversation about the Oscars defense all year long. We had sat there
Hold
and
on,
said,
let me finish rolling my eyes. Okay, continue.
we have speculated that perhaps that growing issue he had is still bothering him. It's affecting his mobility. And then Dave Roberts made this comment after there was a ball that most people thought should have been caught and was not caught. And it led to some runs being scored, and the Dodgers ended up losing that game. And Dave Roberts, after the game, specifically asked about the Oscar Hernandez and that play. This is the quote from Dave Roberts. He's got to be better. He's got to get better out there. There's just no other way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Amie, I had our dear friend Adam, who I guess he is really new to the show because I'm starting to get more messages from him every single time.
Oh, so he's
And
our dear friend, but he's new. Got it.
Well, like the last 3 or 4 shows, he's sent me comments about on every episode on something that we talk about. So Adam said to me, he's like, Juan, I understand what you're saying in terms of the injuries, the injury with the Oscar, but if he was truly still injured and that injury was bothering him, do you think Dave Roberts would have said that? Because Dave Roberts is a guy who protects his players. If Dave Roberts and the organization knows that the Oscar is playing hurt, would Dave Roberts, because according to Adam feels that was a direct shot to the Oscar Hernandez so much that he told me, he's like, Juan, that was right between the eyes. He literally said, there's no other way to put it. He's got to be better out there. So the reason why I bring that up, Amie, is because
The two things can be true though. Like he could be injured and he does need to play better. These again, I would remind everybody, especially since you and I have both been in those media scrums, these are questions that are being asked to him and he's going to answer the question. So
I do think I agree with you in both things could be true. I do think it's fair for Adam to say that if Dave Roberts really thought that was injury related, Dave Roberts would have pulled back. And I don't think Dave Roberts would have said he needs to be better or that there's just no other way to put it. I think
But he does need to be better if he's missing plays, regardless of if he's injured. This is where, and this is why I thought we were saving it for later in our rundown, but that's fine if we cover it here. People try this is like when you're it typically is stereotyped with like girls in high school and overthinking, like, dude, he texted me this and what does this mean? And my friend calls it knitting a sweater. Like, you're knitting this whole story about something, and sometimes it's just he needs to do better, and that's it, and we move on. Like, take him at his word. Like, why are we trying to dig in and overanalyze this stuff? Like, to me, and this is where we fan differently, this falls under the who cares. Again, Dave Roberts is going to have those conversations with the players directly. He's not sending them messages or trying to like shots fired in media scrums. He's just answering questions. Like, I think we're attributing more meaning to something than it needs.
So over analyzing and over speculating, hold my beer. As a result of that, it was reported, and it was first reported by Kevin Baxter of the Los Angeles Times, that Mookie Betts had a meeting with Dave Roberts and Andrew Friedman in the office.
Hold on.
Now, oh, wow.
All right. I was ready for this. Go ahead.
For those of you listening to the audio portion, go over to the YouTube because La Reina just put on her tinfoil hat. She literally put on her tinfoil hat.
I am protecting myself from all of this just nonsense, but go ahead, please.
So
more.
all Kevin Baxter did was report that there was a meeting with Mookie Betts, Andrew Friedman, and Dave Roberts.
Was this the Yahoo story that you sent me?
No, this is the low.
Oh, okay.
So the Yahoo story.
Because I was like, that one was total. Okay, go on.
That Yahoo story, and this is why it goes. And I'm glad you put up the tinfoil hat. This is why I wanted to bring this up now, in terms of the speculation. That Yahoo story referenced Kevin Baxter's LA Times story. And this is something that I think is not only an issue in sports, but it's probably an issue in everywhere in journalism. And that is, you take something, and I keep forgetting what the exact word is. When you take something else, there's a specific word for it, and I'm totally going blank. But they basically took what Kevin Baxter reported and then wrote their own speculation for their own article. And therefore, it makes it seem like Kevin Baxter was reporting the same thing because they linked Kevin Baxter's story. Nowhere, I want to be clear, nowhere in the story did Kevin Baxter say that the meeting that Mookie and Dave Roberts and Andrew Friedman had was about him moving to right field. But all of a sudden, not only was it that Yahoo story, but there were other affiliates, Clutch Points. There were other of these organizations that cover sports started writing articles that Mookie should be moved back to right field. Never was there a correlation, though, specifically saying this meeting was about Mookie moving to right field. But because it had become such an uproar, Fabian Ardaya of The Athletic and
this
Dave
is the reason that you have good sources and you cite your sources and you do research. But go on, please.
Fabian Ardaya of The Athletic and Dave Vassay, guys who cover this team every day, felt the need to have to address this directly with Mookie about this so-called meeting. And I know this infuriated you. So tinfoil, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
I don't understand why people do this. There's not much for me to say on it other than, like, I think that there needs to be integrity in journalism. That's something that's important to me. I think that was something that was important to you when you were covering the team. I don't understand why we, one, vilify people so much, why we try to make mountains out of molehills, which is what I think I texted you when it happened. And when I read the second story, the Yahoo story, I was like, this is such a non-story. It was like, player goes and talks to manager. Oh my gosh. Like, and that's literally what Mookie said. He goes in and talks to Dave Roberts all the time because they do have a father-son mentor relationship, and they talk about his hitting and how that's progressing. The fact that he can't even go into his manager's office without somebody speculating, without having actual factual information, to me is I want to say astounding, but it's also a little bit appalling because this makes media look bad. And when he was having that interview with Dave Vassay brought up like the reporting and Mookie's like basically like it's a lie. Like he understands that media has a job to do, but like this is not it. And I completely agree with him. Like this is just like what are we doing? Like we are nitpicking this sport and we are over analyzing it so much that we are either trying to find meaning in Dave Roberts' words that to me he's going to go talk to the players anyway, or stuff that's not happening and trying to attribute something else to it. Like what are we doing? I don't get it. What are we doing?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the answer that Mookie gave Vassay was that Friedman was already in the office with Roberts, that it was actually a meeting between those two, and that Mookie just stepped in real quick to say, "Hey, I feel good about my swing." Or am
And
I correct? Am
oh,
I
I don't,
reporting
I
that
didn't, I
incorrectly?
mean, I don't know. I didn't see that article.
Uh,
I'm thinking of like when we see players like like we don't see them, we can't see Dave Roberts' office, but we can see them in some of the other offices on our way to the clubhouse. Like people are in and out of these places all the time, but media is not allowed back there. So even if somebody did see him, like on the off chance that you could like, what? Like,
Yeah, and this is just to reiterate your point again. This really does give journalism a bad name, and this is why teams then go to team-controlled media, because they get to put the message out as opposed to having these people come in and write something that's not true. There
and that's
was
why I get so fired up about it because as a member of the media, this is to me, this is not the way. I This does not represent all of us and unfortunately we all get lumped in and the repercussions are going to impact us all. And that upsets me because I have a job to do too. And like if you're just trying to get clicks or whatever, like these players have integrity as well and unless you're reporting on like maybe, some egregious thing that you have facts to to back it up, but like I just don't get it. Like I don't have word like this baffles me so much. Like we should just be reporting on what we have.
if you think that upsets you, don't Google Mookie meeting right field. Don't Google that because you're going to find some stories where people are literally writing stories about saying they don't believe Mookie's response to this story or the Dodgers' response.
But
They
that's a choice and I feel bad that people want to dig this deep. Like if this is how you like to enjoy your sport, like to me we always joke, right? Baseball is my telenovela. And by that, I mean not drama. I mean, I watch it every night to see what's happening with my guys, how they're doing. Are they injured? Is Freddie Freeman going to be back in? The consistency helps keep me up on the story. But there are some people who watch this like a telenovela, but like more in the like soap way of like truly like we want the drama and we want like you're reading too much into it. Like just it's baseball.
So you and I both agree that this was a non-story, that it was irresponsible to go ahead and do this. But Amy, can we talk? Can we do an Alice through the looking glass and go? Is the reason why this story picked up so much traction because the Dodgers do have an issue in the outfield, and they feel like the
So
real?
what? That doesn't mean you get to make up stories though. Like so what?
No,
You
that's
don't
fair. That's
people don't agree with Michael Conforto in left field. They want Mookie in right field. They want Teoscar to shift over. Okay, great. So what? How's it feel to want? Like this this is the team we get. Like that doesn't mean you make up stories. Whether you're a fan, if you want to do that, fine. You're not going to be in my fan circle of my friend circle of how we talk about baseball, and that's okay. We talk about how people fan differently all the time on this show. But it doesn't mean, especially as media, that you get to make up stories or maybe you didn't make it up, but you twist the angle just enough where people run with it. And so it's like, well, I didn't say that, but you knew the effect that it was going to have.
So Veronica sent me Vedro. I'm assuming it's Veronica, but she goes by Vedro. Sent me a message saying, Juan, if they move Mookie to right field, then who's going to be our shortstop? Instead of keep saying move him to right field, why can't people just be happy with Mookie being a shortstop? And I agree with you there, Vedro, and that is okay. You address one issue, and now you've created another issue because look, I
But
think
it's
Miguel.
not really an issue though, because we're not moving him. So like
Well,
if you want to plug the hole, if people think that there's a hole in right field, Mookie's not the answer. It's already been said he's off the table. So unless something super like out of left field comes to pass, but I mean, like I don't know. I mean, I guess
that's why.
if this is how you want to spend your time, sure, go for it. I have other things to do. I have books to read. I have people to hang out with. So
This is why the Alex Call injury is so interesting. And now that that Geeke came back, I know the plan is that once Muncy comes back, that Geeke is going to see more time in the outfield. So you may see less of Michael Conforto out there. But every time you guys, all right, I'm going to just say this now. I was going to save it for later, but I'm just going to say it now. You guys gave Mookie a standing ovation, and since then, the guy's been hitting over 300. You guys have convinced me the power of prayer works. Positivity. Go ahead.
he's made some stellar plays at short too. Like
Yeah. So why don't you guys do this for Michael Conforto? Instead of crapping on Michael Conforto, why don't you guys give Michael Conforto a standing ovation? Why don't you guys see if you can help Michael Conforto? Because every time you guys just crap on Michael Conforto, he hit a home run in the Rojos game. It's like I look, and I get it. I understand your guys' frustration with Michael Conforto. You're not getting the level of productivity out of that position. And then with the defensive issues with Oscar, I think it's just the growing anxiety that when you get to the postseason, all it takes is the difference between one game, could be one play, you winning a game and losing a play.
But people aren't perfect. Like that's the thing that just it astounds me. And again, that's partially also why I have my fun hat on the other side is like, I don't want to keep having this conversation every week. Like these guys aren't perfect. It could something happen in the postseason. Yeah, it could. But what is anybody going to do about it? Oscar isn't going to want to make a mistake in the outfield. But as we kind of progress through some of these series, we also saw these guys play really well in the outfield. But it feels like that celebration of what they're doing right doesn't really make it out to social media, to conversations, to messages. People are messaging when people just mess up. And to me, that's not how I baseball at all. Because if you're going to celebrate how much they mess up, why are you not celebrating their achievements?
Well, I think that's what it is, Amy, is it stands out more when they lose.
But
When they win,
nobody likes that in their own life, and that's where I think we need to inject more humanity in this game, more empathy, because nobody likes to go into a review with their boss and then like, oh yeah, you did, these couple of things great, but let's actually focus on everything that you did wrong, or you know what, you did one thing great and here's your list of things that you did wrong. Nobody likes that. So why do we turn around and do stuff that we personally don't like and put it on these players when we're watching this game? I mean, I'm assuming is an escape. I'm sure some people are watching it for gambling or other reasons, but like why it's golden rule. Why would you do this to somebody else?
it's a very interesting question. I'm curious to see as we go into September if you do see Michael Conforto's time get reduced, what they really do with Kike, where they start playing him, what happens when Hae-Sung Kim comes back, because Hae-Sung Kim was was playing in left field in his rehab assignment down in the minor leagues. Now, I myself am not comfortable with Hae-Sung Kim in the outfield. I don't know how much time he's had in the outfield, and I don't know if you're really putting him in the best position to succeed by putting him in the outfield. I feel more comfortable with him in the infield, but I get it. They really want that left-handed bat, and if you have Hae-Sung Kim playing left field, that's a left-hand bat that usually that's what you were depending on Michael Conforto, and then at least you have Michael Conforto, left-handed bat, coming off the bench. So I am curious to see as September rolls around what they actually do, because I think at this point you are going to see the rotations maybe tighten up a little bit. You're going to start seeing, because look, they're 2 games up right now in the division, so the division is still up for grabs. This isn't like over and done with. So I'm very curious to see what the Dodgers do.
So did you get that out of your system?
I got it out of my system. I did think it was just fascinating how quickly it escalated, but at the same time, I I I understand where it's coming from, but I just don't know if it's straight A to B. I feel like you guys went A and then went all over the place to get to. It's like you. I think you what you said was right. It's 2 different issues, and that is you have an issue with the Oscars defense in right field. And most of the fans feel the way you improve this team is just simply move him to left, get Michael Conforto out of there, and move Mookie to right, because Mookie is a Gold Glove right outfielder. But I don't I don't know if addressing one problem and then causing another one is the right way to do it a month away from starting the postseason.
Yeah.
I get it. You're all talked out of this. All right.
Well,
Anything else?
we just do this. We just do this every week, and it's like, okay, wish in one hand, want in the other, and see what happens. I did think so. There were some interesting things that did happen in that Colorado series. So in that Thursday game, we saw Kershaw pitching, and he's just continuing to, I think, wow people as he goes along in the season. But in that first inning, he had that. Did you see the third disengagement thing happened? But initially, nobody knew what happened. It was called a balk, and then it was like, oh, he'd already stepped off twice. He had a third disengagement. They're going to call it a balk. But there was an interesting conversation on the radio between Tim Neverett and Rick Monday, because they're saying the Dodgers now have, like, umpires have that audio system. They're mic'd up. Why not let everybody in the stadium know what's going on in that moment, instead of finding out in the second or the third inning what actually happened? Because everybody's like, wait, was it a balk? People are like trying to review it. Like, I didn't see a balk. Like, it doesn't look like a balk. And you're not really focused on the game. You're trying to figure this out when all that it came down to was he had 3 disengagements. They could just say that on the mic real quick, and then the game moves on. So I thought it was a really interesting point, because they do have this technology. And I know when I'm in the stadium, I'm listening to my transistor radio. I usually know when these things are happening because I'm listening, but there's other people around. They're like, well, what's happening? I'm not sure. And it's like, I'll let them know, but wouldn't it be better to let a whole stadium's worth of people know in real time and then just move on?
I think it's fair. The only answer I have to that is that the umpires just don't think it's important for the fans to know what's going on in the game.
And that's been years. Like, I'm grateful that I bring my radio, because that's usually like, and if I'm not listening to it during a game, that's usually when I'll like dig it out of my purse and like put my earbud in, like, okay, what just happened? Because it's going to take like an inning or two for the broadcasters to figure it out and then feed it back to us. And it's like, they could just solve that in the split second and then move on. And it wouldn't even take any time away from the game. But
yeah, in some cases, you don't even know until the end of the game when you, in post-game interviews, when Dave Roberts goes out there and goes, this is the explanation that I was given by the umpires.
Right. When you could just quickly say something and then move on. But here we are. So, I mean, the only other thing that was, I think, super notable was that Shohei did take that liner off the leg in that Wednesday game as he was pitching. He did continue to bat, but he was done as far as pitching after that inning. So,
and I believe that was his first time ever pitching in Colorado. So I don't know if it was him. I mean, his pitches were not really breaking. I don't know if it was the altitude that it was impacting that, or taking that hit off the leg, if that ended up affecting his delivery. But he did not look sharp. And up until that point, he was still struggling to get through a 5th inning. And I know that that's a magic number for the Doyers. The Doyers really wanted him they want him to be at 5 innings by the end of the season. And so,
which, spoiler alert, fast forward, he did do that in this most recent series. So
exactly,
he turned it around.
Anything else on the Rockies series?
I I don't think so. Oh, we did. So we did see him get some rest the following day. So whether it was partially because of that comebacker on the leg, but we also knew Dave Roberts did kind of tease they weren't sure if they'd give him Thursday off since they were still playing and they usually have that day off. But Shohei did get some rest that day. So Will Smith was in as a DH.
Something else to keep an eye on in the month of September, those days that he does start. I mean, they've been lucky. They've had off days the day after. For example, yet like today, they have an off day after he pitched. But there'll be some times where there isn't going to be an off day. So is this going to be the trend where they give him a rest? And can they afford to give him a rest as they're in a pennant chase? And we're running out of time. We had 30 games left.
Yeah. I mean, it remains to be seen.
Okay, so there was a big showdown in San Diego. This is the Doyers after sweeping the show pods in LA. Now you go to San Diego and you're hoping, you could really, I mean, at that point, you were tied in the division. Just when you thought things were great, they had a 2-game lead leaving Los Angeles. You got 4 games against the Rockies, and then you show up in San Diego and you're tied for first. So this was an important series. What was your takeaway? Not only was it an important series, but this is the last time that the Dodgers and the Show Pods are going to play each other this year.
I mean, for all the people who were upset, we did take the season series. So that was my main takeaway. Obviously, we saw that Friday and Saturday were some low-scoring games. Well, maybe not so much Saturday. That kind of got away from them. But like Friday was a low-scoring game. It was a 1-run difference. Sunday, you saw them kind of wake up from that stupor, though. They won from the long ball. So as much as I love when they play small ball, we'll take the wins how we can get them. They scored 7 runs off those 4 home runs, and then you had Shohei. I think he came in. What was it on a single or a walk or something like that. But yeah, he came in on a walk. But the patience that they had, I mean, you saw the patience at the plate more during that Sunday game. And there were some stats that they did put up on the screen during the broadcast, just saying that you saw the bullpen numbers for San Diego, and the Dodgers, they're one of the better teams that can get to that San Diego bullpen. And so I think we did see some of that towards the end of the series. Obviously, they weren't really hitting in those first 2 games.
No, and those first 2 games, I think, were very disappointing, at least offensively. I think the
especially
pitching.
Snell didn't get any run support, and
Yeah.
he went 7 innings, and
Blake Snell didn't get any run support, and I think I can't say that it's concerning nor a surprise, because for me, this is who this team is. And that is I think they have consistently underperformed against pitchers that have high ERAs. I mean, Yu Darvish seems to only pitch well against the Dodgers. Against the rest of Major League Baseball, I mean, his season ERA is almost 5. And Nestor Cortez, a guy whose ERA is, I believe, 5 and over, dominated the Dodgers. He was pitching a no-hitter. Until they took him out. So I think that's who they are. For some reason, this team struggles against pitchers that have high ERAs. Go back to that Colorado series when you have a guy who has an ERA of almost 8 and he just completely shuts down the team. So I'm hoping they find a way to rectify it. But for me, the biggest takeaway was what Dave Roberts said in that series, and said, this is no longer about mechanics. This is about doing your job and playing for your teammates. And I found it very interesting that this is a conversation that you and I have had on this show. It seems every week, the approach. He did not mince words there. And then on Sunday, you saw a completely different team. Amie, I mean, I'm sure it made you somewhat happy to see that the Show Pods were playing small ball in those first 2 games,
Mhm.
and it was working for them. And that, to me, it just had me scratching my head going, oh my God, they have 3 bunts in 1 inning, and then they got a run. Why can't the Dodgers do that? Like, why such a reluctance to play? I don't even want to call it small ball. I want smart baseball. Like, obviously, the more runs you score, the more you can apply pressure to the other team. And I feel that's what the Show Pods were doing, even though it was small ball.
Which I mean, to their credit, the Dodgers, it is something they're working on. Like every game that I'm at least covering, you see them start out, they are in the batting cage and they are working on bunting. You are seeing more of it. We saw Miguel Rojas do it recently. Like there are players that are doing it. You're seeing more of it happening. We just need to see it on more of a consistent basis. But they actually threw up a graphic on Sunday during the game about the last 8 World Series champions, and they were comparing the bunt rate versus the home run rate. And the majority of all the teams that won in the last 10 years, everybody was top 10 in home runs. The bunt rate was 27th, 16th, ranked 21st, 22nd, 21st. The only exception was the Nationals, and they ranked third in bunts. Everybody else was like way out there. And then you see the results for home runs for everybody that's won. So the Astros in 2017, they were ranked second in home runs. You've got the Red Sox in 2018 ranked ninth. The Nats ranked 10th in 2019. 2020, the Dodgers were ranked first in home runs. You've got the Bravos in 2021 ranked third. The Astros again ranked fourth. The Rangers ranked third, and the Dodgers ranked third. Everybody was in the top 10 of home runs. That's what we're seeing as a trend in this game as far as how people are winning games. It doesn't mean that we don't need small ball, but you've got to kind of get that mentality out on the field as well.
I did see that stat, but I also do love what Joe Davis said when they showed that stat. And I think it's very similar to what you're saying. It's like, we get it. You have to hit home runs to win in today's game. But there's going to be a time where you're not hitting home runs and you got to find a way to score.
But
And
you've also got to get people on base so that when you are hitting those home runs, there's more value in it. So it's not just a solo homer. It's, I just brought in, 2 or 3 guys with me.
I argue that actually, if you played small ball, you had a better chance of hitting a home run, because if you have a runner in scoring position, I feel that's when a pitcher is more likely to make a mistake, because they're so worried about that runner in scoring position scoring, and then they can leave one over the plate.
We saw that with a couple pitchers, especially the relievers this weekend, where some of it was defensive indifference, some of it was wild pitches, stolen bases, but it was like, oh my gosh, these other teams are just like making it over in the second and third. They're like in scoring position, and that's when pitchers are going to make those mistakes, just like you're saying.
Yeah, so I mean, the numbers support the home run. I get it, and they really rely on those numbers, but to see them like hardly do it, it really gives me a vibe like they just have this aversion to it, and I just don't understand why. It's just like,
I
come
think
on.
that's giving. I don't think they have an aversion to it. They're practicing it. It could just be that because there was not such an emphasis on it before. Like this is the year that I've really seen them at batting practice. It's like almost every single one they're practicing it. I didn't see that in years past. So it could just be like, I don't feel as comfortable doing it. And in a high leverage situation, if I don't feel like I'm going to do a good job, this is probably not where I want to do it, especially with the way this fan base, some of it reacts to them. So you don't know if that's playing into it.
That makes me scratch my head even more, because if they're practicing it, but they're not using it in games, then I don't understand why they're practicing it.
But they are using it in games. Like I'll mark it down when I see some of them doing it. They are bunting more than they have in the past. Not every player is coming up to the plate and that's what they're going for. But they are. Even Shohei Ohtani he showed bunt the other day.
Yeah, I don't know.
So are people just not paying attention? Are they not watching closely? Because I'm seeing a prevalence of it.
Yeah, maybe the numbers support it. I don't. It doesn't feel like it to me. It doesn't.
If you have Shohei Ohtani showing bunt, like, does that not show that there is a shift in the organization?
And I know that time that he was showing bunt, though, there was no runner on. He was bunting to get on base. And that's the element of surprise. So that to me but what to me is more noticeable is when you have a runner on first and you're already struggling against a starting pitcher. Why not move a runner over to second? Because that's exactly what the Showpaws did against Blake Snell. Was the minute somebody got on first base, they were bunting the guy over to second, and having a guy in scoring position. Again, I feel like and Blake Snell only made one mistake in that game, but it was enough to cost him the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
So,
mean they did. I'm looking at my scorecard right now, and they had the show pods had at least 3 sack bunts that I recorded.
yeah, and I guess maybe that's why it stood out to me so much that I was like, wow, they have clearly elected this strategy. It felt like they were playing with a sense of urgency in the sense that they're
They
like
they
not
did
that
it, but
many run.
they did it, but they got results. So because the Dodgers aren't getting results, I don't think it's as noticeable to everybody. But they are showing bunt more often in a lot of these situations. So and if it doesn't go their way as much, that's unfortunate. But it's not for lack of them at least starting to ramp that up.
I mean, since we're talking about the show pod series, I know we had this for later, but can we just move this up
Mhm.
and talk about the fan and the Shohei altercation?
Are you ready to see me turn red and get upset because you know how I feel about smack
Wow,
talking?
go ahead.
No, please go ahead, lead
No,
in.
no, 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 no. I want to hear your version.
No, go. No, I'll chime in.
So
You're moving it up. Go for it.
for those of you who did not see this, there was a Showpods fan who had some really good seats right by the Dodgers dugout, and I guess he was heckling the Dodgers the whole game, and in particular, he was heckling Shohei. And Shohei then in the ninth inning hits the home run, and then Shohei immediately goes over and gives the guy a high five. And I thought the guy actually was a good sport about it. He was laughing. He owned up to it. He's been interviewed on many shows after that weekend explaining it. And even much so, I don't know if there was a bet going on, but I don't know if you've seen this video, Amy. He, owned up to, Shohei's the man and all that. And at the end of it, he put on a Dodger hat. So I don't know if that was part of a bet that he had to pay off because Shohei ended up hitting the home run. But Dave Roberts said this fan was basically saying all game long how bad Shohei was during the series. I don't. I don't
This is
think
where
there was any.
you and I differ because I abhor smack talking. I hate it.
Look, I am not a fan of smack talking. Now, I am not a fan of smack talking if it ends up resulting and you guys are fighting, there's violence, or there's just a really nasty altercation. The way Shohei handled this by immediately going back, he had a smile on his face and gave the guy a high five. That to me was the equivalent of saying scoreboard. That's like, all right, you want to say all these things about me, you can, but just know that if I do something, I'm going to come right back at you. And I thought the Show Pods fan knew it. He immediately he shook Shohei's hand and then he sat down. I don't have a problem with this because of the way it was handled. Now, if it
Yeah,
was
but
different,
it wouldn't even need to be handled if it wasn't happening. Like to me, I don't like it. I don't want to have to hear that all game long. I paid to be here too. I don't want to hear you shouting things at the other players, whether it's some people think, well, it's not as egregious as what happened to Ketel Marte. I don't think there should be a spectrum on this at all. I don't think you should be doing it. Like why it doesn't matter that they're on the opposing team. They're still a human. Why are you saying this stuff? Like to me, it's not nice. It's not kind. If you think you're going to get into their head, okay, kudos to you if you do. Like, whoop-de-doo. Like, I don't like it. I don't like this part of the game. I don't think it adds to the humanity of the game.
I have not seen anything that said that this fan crossed the line in any of the things that he
I
said to
don't like it.
Shohei.
I don't like it, period, though. So he could be a 1 out of 10 on the scale. I don't think there should be a 1. I don't think it lends itself to the game. This is supposed to be a game of like, I don't know.
I get what you're saying, but
Mhm.
I do for me, I just bring it up to distinguish the difference,
Sure. To
between
me,
someone who is saying really horrible, heinous stuff to someone. I think there is a line.
to me, I guess, and there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me, and that's fine. To me, this falls under bullying. I don't like it. I was bullied as a kid. It never felt good. So to me, like, why would you do this to another player, to another human? Like, if people excuse it under the guise of, oh, well, it's just part of the game. Well, I think that's part of the game that we should probably change because it's not nice. What out of it can you tell me that is, other than maybe getting into somebody's head, which I think is a stupid reason, what is nice about, like, what is good about it?
I, if you're asking me, is it necessary? I'm going to say no. It's not necessary. Now, did it contribute to the experience between them? Because you saw everybody in that Dodger dugout. They were loving it. They were laughing. And
And
even
they
Dave
were
Roberts.
loving it all the whole time, having to hear it up to that point.
Well, but that's the thing, because Dave Roberts said that it was great to be able to see Shohei show his personality. It seemed like none of the Dodgers knew that that's what Shohei was going to do. It seemed like Shohei took it upon himself. It felt like Shohei was comfortable enough to go ahead and do it. We've
We've
seen
seen
it.
his personality in other ways though. Like I don't think this warrants the example of his personality. Like we already know he's a good person. Like this is not how I need to see that. This is not the one standout of like, is Shohei a good person? You know, how he handled that heckler. That's my thing for the whole like it's a culmination of events throughout a season. Like it wouldn't even be necessary for him to do that, and he can show his personality in other ways.
Yeah, I don't. I think there is a difference. This is not physically grabbing a player, and we've seen it where Anthony Rendon went into the stands. We've seen players actually go into and that I don't agree with. But this, it doesn't seem like it had drawn a line. This, I get it. You're not a fan of smack talk.
I
But
think because on the other side of the gender spectrum, we deal with this in so many other ways in our daily life that to see this carried over in the game and excused is just like, well, no wonder it gets excused in my daily life or written off, because we allow it here, we allow it in other places, and I think we just need to be better people.
Now, the Dodgers could have gone to an usher and asked the guy to be removed, correct?
Sure, but to me the problem isn't just this guy, it's endemic in the game because he's not the only one. There are people who have fan accounts that are devoted to this. There are people, that are no like this is endemic to the game. Having that guy removed isn't going to solve the challenge of how we approach the game. And to me that's the bigger picture. Like, is it in the grand scheme? You're right. He didn't really cross the line. To me, the problem is that this happens in the game period. And I would like, I don't like it.
I'm old enough to remember when Tommy Lasorda had the Expos mascot kicked off the top of the dugout. So I think if it was that bad, I do think that the Dodgers would have done something.
Sure.
Um,
I just if we've this falls under, well, we've always done it this way, and some people like it. So like it just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean that there's not room for improvement. There's not better ways that we could fan. And that's, again, people are not going to agree with my outlook on that, and that's fine. Many people love it. Many people think that that enhances their experience at the ballpark. When I see it, it hurts my heart. It doesn't make me feel good to hear it, and it doesn't make me feel good to see whether it's the player on the other side or our player on the receiving end of it, because as somebody who's had that done to me, like, it just doesn't feel good.
Absolutely. And corrections, base running blunder here. The Dodgers were actually up a game at the start of that series. So even though they lost 2 out of 3, by the time they left San Diego, they were tied for first. So base running blunder has been corrected before the end of the episode.
Yeah,
Ladies
Jose
and gentlemen,
Ayala, we caught it.
that's right. Is there anything else that you want to address about the San Diego series before we move on?
The only other thing I would like to call out is that, like, Freddie had his 21st career multi-homer game, so we saw that in that one game where we kind of, we really saw the bats come alive on that Sunday game. So it was just nice to see him stack up another whatever in his another feather in his cap.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
And speaking of base running blunders, I forgot to bring this up. I did have a base running blunder on last episode. Shouts out to Anthony Couturier for catching it. And that was Duran, the reliever of the Phillies. When we talked about him getting hit, he did come back. So as Anthony said to me, it's a a half a base running blunder because it wasn't that he's still out. He did miss a few games, but he is back now. So
Good for him. Good for him.
so they leave San Diego, and I think you probably have to. I know they won the season series, Amy, but I feel like you have to look at it as you were disappointed in losing 2 out of 3, especially because that
You
game
can.
that game on Friday was close. I felt it was a winnable game. And I just think it would have been great. You not only you sweep them at home, but then you win 2 out of 3. I think that would have set you up really nice for the end of the season. Because I don't think this is I know it's the last regular season matchup between the Dodgers and the Show Pods, but I don't think this is the last time these two teams are going to see each other.
But it's
Um,
not indicative of what will happen in the postseason because one, we're not even there yet. But two, like what happened now doesn't dictate what's going to happen going forward. We swept the Cubs in Japan at the beginning of the season. We lost to them later in the season. It doesn't mean anything until you get to those games and you play those games.
That's fair. That's a very good point. So then the Rojos came into town,
Who
and it
had
was
not been swept yet this season. The
that is
only
true.
team in the MLB who hadn't been swept.
And not only that, but because of the Dodgers and the Show Pods fighting, if the Dodgers don't win that division, they drop into the wild card race, and they would be second in that wild card race. The Metropolitans are right behind them, and at that time, before the Rojos showed up in Los Angeles, they were close to the Metropolitans. So all of a sudden, if things go wrong for the Dodgers, they could see that they might be fighting for that third wild card spot against the Rojos, but
And also
that's not what happened.
shout out to the Mariners. Thanks for helping us out.
That's right. So at the end of the Rojo series, the Dodgers have a 2-game lead now over the San Diego Padres. But more importantly, I feel like they played really, really well against the Rojos in that series. They swept the series. Now, it could be that they caught the Rojos at the right time. The Rojos now might be running out of gas, but I feel like their at-bats were much better. I feel everything Dave Roberts talked about what was wrong in San Diego, they addressed it against the Rojos, and they looked like a team. To me, they looked really good in that series.
Mm-hmm. And we kicked it off with giving Gavin Lux his World Series ring, and it was interesting depending on which cut you saw because the Dodgers trimmed it out of their video clip, but Sportsnet LA kept it in. When Kike and Gavin reunited for their hug, you saw that crotch bump that they always do, which just makes me laugh.
Don't you have stickers of that?
I don't have a physical sticker, but I do have one in my phone that I do like to send you periodically. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, you do like sending me that one.
Yeah, I do. And I send it to the Kike and official fan club as well.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed really, really excited. I had totally forgotten that he hadn't gotten his ring yet. For some reason,
I was surprised he hadn't because we gave it to Kiermaier on the road. So and we've already played Cincinnati before, so I was like, "What?"
But here's the thing, and I lost sight of this, Amy. Kiermaier's no longer playing, so that's the only time you're going to see him.
That's true.
Gavin Lux, like these other people, like when they gave it to Walker Buehler, that was the only time they were going to see the Medias Rojas.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. I lost sight of the fact when they played him in Cincinnati that the Rojos come back to LA, and of course, you want to give him the ring at Dodger Stadium so the fans can go ahead and show their appreciation to Gavin Lux,
and they had a really cool, so I was there for Monday and Tuesday's game, and they had a really cool like Gavin Lux video that they played before he came out, and you saw him kind of like walk bashfully out of the dugout, and this is what I love about celebrating these guys. This is where I fall on the other end of the spectrum. You might love the smack talking and the heckling. I fall on this side of I like celebrating them, and I love these moments, like seeing him happy, seeing them all hugging him was just it was very heartwarming.
And just a point of clarification, it's not that I love smack talking. I just feel there is a difference. There is a line between what we know so far with this San Diego fan and what some of these other fans are doing. There's a line that is crossed, and that I'm on completely on board. There's just no place for it. It's completely unacceptable. Speaking of Gavin Lux, did you watch him or hear him on Mookie's podcast?
So preceding that, just to kind of set that up too, because I did want to bring this up when we were going to talk about Mookie later, but we kind of fast forwarded. This is also a good example of Mookie's podcast. Like, you get to see him as a person versus the version that where he kind of gets vilified with the media of like, oh, well, look at his personality. That is not his personality. That is him doing a job. When you see him on the podcast and he's more like happy-go-lucky, he's with his baseball brethren, he is a lot more relaxed. And he was interviewing Will Smith on a previous episode, and his iPad slipped off his lap and then like hightailed it off the patio that they were on, I think down below. So they did mention that also in Gavin Lux's interview, like, oh, they were able to save it, but he ended up getting a new iPad for his show.
For those of you who missed it, he does tell a very good story about the famous. I don't know what you call the crash in
the collision in the outfield.
So the chalk outline, I guess, is that the correct way, even though it was tape?
I mean, yeah, it would be, because they've done it for other players before. You see it periodically through the MLB, and I think it's hilarious. I mean, didn't we see it for Dave Vassay when he came down the slide at the
yes, they did.
Yeah.
I did think it, though, Gavin Lux's immediate reaction, his thought, I thought was hilarious.
Scherzer's going to be upset.
Exactly. I thought that was a great line.
But that's how ingrained baseball is. He even said he passed out for a second, which I didn't realize at the time. Like, he blacked out for a split second, and then like immediately coming to, he's like, "Oh man, Scherzer's going to be so mad."
I think that's so funny to me. Is just like, dude, you might have just taken your life there, and the first thing you're worried, you're more scared about Scherzer's reaction than you taking your own life. So I thought that was great.
That's how much muscle memory this game like is built into them, that is his first reaction. And I hadn't really seen the video in a while, because I was in the stadium, I think, when it happened, and I was there in the pavilion when they put the chalk outline, so we got to see it on the screen. But even just, you saw his leg, like, just like, you could tell he lost consciousness for a second.
Gavin Lux is one of those guys that he had a very short time here with the Dodgers. He made contributions to the team, but it serves as a reminder for me, because he was a top prospect. He was highly thought of, and the Dodgers in the end ended up trading him.
Well, and like when he got brought up, it was like there was a countdown for him to come up. And then like it was a big thing on Sportsnet. I remember seeing him wheeling his suitcase through the hallways when that game that he came up. And then when he came in, like there were cheers for him. Everybody had been waiting. And then, he just had a like almost misfortune after misfortune kind of happen that didn't shake things out quite like we thought it would play out.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just, I know we're way past the trade deadline, but, when it comes to trades, I think, not all of these prospects are going to pan out. They're not all going to be superstars. So just go for it. Try to win when you can win. But like, I want to hand out some flores, especially for this Rojo series. You mentioned it earlier with Kershaw. I want to give a bouquet to Kershaw, especially for the month of August. Crenshaw in the month of August was just, I'm still, I know we've had this conversation, Amy. I am still amazed. His ERA was 1.88 for the month of August. I just did not see this coming from him. Like, if his ERA was 3, his ERA was 4, that's more along the lines where I feel like at his point in his career, that to me is good. He's contributing. But to have an ERA close to what it was like when he was in his prime, that to me completely blows my mind.
I guess this is where, like, I just don't have expectations for this stuff. Like, this is where like he did this last year to a certain extent. I mean, granted, it was only over 7 games, but that's where it's just like, this is why he's a professional, and this is why he's the GOAT.
Well, and that's why to me it stands out more, because it's not 7 games. Like
Mhm.
he's been pitching for a while. And so you would think it's going to catch up with him. It's going to catch up with him. But
Maybe
I
he's
feel
running on spite for all those haters over the
it
years.
could be. He could be a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm and he's opening his own spite store. But for me, I just, I almost feel like he's getting better. And that's just like,
Especially because his velocity isn't in the, the
yeah,
90s like everybody else. And that to me proves the point that all of this velo chasing that the sport is doing, it's possible to pitch well and not pitch that fast because you've got a perfect example in Clayton Kershaw.
he is clearly putting on a clinic on how to pitch.
Hmm.
That's what this is.
Can you imagine? Like, there is going to be a day where, like, we've had him for so many years. It's going to be a shocking day when we don't have him out on the mound anymore.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Okay, another bouquet that I want to give out to is to Edgardo Enriquez. Yeah, Edgardo Enriquez. I get it that it's still a very small sample size, but I was really not expecting much from this guy. But damn, he looks really good out there, and I know people have been calling him. Have you heard this? People have been calling him Baby Bruzdar.
No, I had not heard that.
Like, if this guy can keep this up, like, this is found money for me going into the postseason. That if this guy can be this good, like, I know this is probably blasphemous, but if he can go on a K Rod run like K Rod did when the Angelitos won the World Series, I mean, it just shortens the game. So when you have the unicorn only going 5 innings, or even that, if you have the rest of your fire starters only going 5 innings, but you can shorten the game because your bullpen is that good. I just I hope he keeps at it. But my bouquet goes to Edgardo.
Well, and even that game he came in after Kershaw on, let's see, what was that, Tuesday? Like, you heard the slow churning of, like, oh man, he came in and he gave up a single and another single and there's no outs. And then that bunt that popped up and he caught it, and then he had the wherewithal to get it to second base right away and turn it into a double play. And it was like he just erased those two mistakes. Well, not even mistakes. It's what happens in the game, but like, to everybody else's mind, it's like he cleared the bases, and it
Yeah.
just great job.
And then the last person that I want to give a shout out to in another bouquet is Dalton Rushing. Dalton Rushing hit a big home run in San Diego, and he got a big hit in the Rojo series. And offensively, it has been a struggle for him. But he hasn't let it, even though he's doing this one knee trash that I can't stand. But that's on the organization. They believe in this philosophy. Catchers getting on one knee. As a former catcher, for me, it makes me cringe. I feel some of those wild pitches that the unicorn threw could have been blocked if he wasn't in a one knee stance. But that being said, I don't feel he has allowed his offensive struggles to impact him defensively in the way he's calling a game. So I
And
was
can
really
you
happy.
imagine being him, like his first year up, and he's catching for Clayton Kershaw, Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu
Exactly.
Yamamoto? Like, what? What universe is this?
Yeah, so I thought I was really happy for him to hit that big home run in San Diego and then to get that RBI hit in the Rojo series. What else?
What about Emmett Sheehan? He went seven
Yeah.
innings and struck out 10. Like, that was, I mean, I know we're going to get to that last game on Wednesday, but just I thought that was really impressive, especially because, coming off of injury, coming back in, but he has still managed to show, like, why he made that jump, from the minors all the way up to, what was it, double A, straight to the majors. Because,
I mean, you're absolutely right. And I know this is probably not fair on my part, but you see those glimpses from
mhm,
him and you're just like, oh, I wish you could do this more consistently. And I have to remind myself, Amy, he's coming back from injury. There's
mhm.
going to be a couple of clunkers in there, but then there'll be a game like he threw with the Rojo against the Rojos. And that's why it makes me very high on him. And I have confidence with him, even though sometimes the results don't back it up. But I feel those glimpses where he is so dominant. I was just like, oh, I trust this guy. I have faith in him in the postseason.
And we did see like there was some chatter about like even Kershaw, like he pitched 4 innings in that game on Tuesday. No, sorry, 5 innings. But he was also pitching on 4 games rest. So you heard kind of the grumblings of like, why did they pull him so quickly? But like the way that he was going, just to throw that out there. So for anybody who didn't know, he was pitching on 4 days rest, and they're all getting used to kind of that 6-day or that 6-man rotation. So it is a little bit off. We want to make sure that we save him. With Kike coming back, I was a little concerned because he did great in his rehab assignment, but I know how sometimes the fan base can treat him. And it was like, man, I really hope he comes up and he does a good job. And he kind of came in and just like found his stride, like singled, he drove in that go ahead run in that one game. I think it was Tuesday's game. And so I was like, oh, thank goodness. Okay, he's back. Like they plugged him in he was supposed to play in left field initially, and then they moved him to third base. And then with Freddie out on Wednesday, he ended up playing first base. Half the time I see the codes in my head, so I'm like, first base. But he was talking to Kirsten Watson on Monday, and just this stuff, this is again the stuff that I think we don't remember about how hard these guys are on their bodies. He had 4 injections. He was saying some with like growth hormones, things like that. But even just with the cortisone, it took the 4th shot for him to have no pain. And so like, just kudos to him. He had 3 parts of his elbow that were impacted. So they've got to stay on top of it so that we don't lose him again. But there was a comment about the brace that he's wearing, and just hopefully the brace makes him more like Shohei as he's playing, which is a typical Kike response. And we will see him this Sunday get his bobblehead day. So,
and speaking of the unicorn and bobbleheads, first of all, shouts out to the unicorn for getting through those 5 innings against the Rojos for the very first time, striking out 9 and really only making 1 mistake. That curveball looked really impressive. And there was a reminder. I saw this as someone put this on social media. I forget who it was, so my apologies. But they had said this guy literally is still rehabbing in the major leagues because he hasn't used that curveball that much or even at all in his first starts. And now all of a sudden he felt comfortable throwing it, and you saw what he did against the Rojos. So shouts out to the unicorn. Can't wait to see what September looks like for the rest of him. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and he made those adjustments that you mentioned initially in that first pitching outing that he had in the series that we were talking about. He made those tweaks. He changed it up so that people didn't know what was coming. And we saw him get 9 strikeouts, but the team as a whole had 19 strikeouts on the day for Wednesday's game. And Sarah Langs posted a stat that's the most strikeouts the Dodgers have had in a 9-inning game in the last 125 years, which was pretty outstanding. You see the highs. You see Shohei get his first win because he's gone 5 innings, and then you see like just random stuff happening, like Miguel Rojas having that batter's interference, where it was just like, what are we doing? And then he also got intentionally walked in the bottom of the 4th. Did you see his face where he was like, they're walking me? Where it was just this comical moment of like, I happened to look down at game day, and so that was ahead of my television feed, and I was watching it on the phone with my friend, and I was like, they just intentionally walked him. So we both got to like pay a little bit closer attention to the play about to happen, and just the look on his face was gold.
Gold, Jerry. Gold.
And I took that personally. I love
gold. Speaking of which, I don't think you went. I know you spent a lot of time at Dodger Stadium. Did you go to the Shohei 50-50 bobblehead?
Absolutely not.
I didn't hear that much about it. So was it not messy?
I think Rowan Kavner posted like several hours before the game, there were lines of people waiting outside. Yeah.
But this is one of the ones where they gave it to everybody, right?
So that's what somebody said. I think Jessica told one of our listeners, Jessica said that. I hadn't seen that posted anywhere, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I hadn't seen that. I feel like if they were going to do that, you might want to let it be known a little more.
Yeah, really put it out there.
So that people aren't waiting in lines for however many hours.
Anything else on the Rojo series?
No, I think that's it. It was good to see them win 4 games in a row.
Absolutely. They got a 2-game lead. The Serpientes are coming into town this weekend, and hopefully they
We're
can.
gonna tag team. You're gonna be there Friday. I'll be there Saturday and Sunday.
That's right. So hopefully they can keep it up and maybe pad this lead. Just so, and this is my service announcement to end the show here. This is a new segment that I like to call the Take It Easy, man. And I am saying this to all of you who suffer from emotions. There was a lot of emotions happening, especially in the Colorado series into the San Diego series.
Across the board too.
Yeah,
like,
and
it was all types of people.
Yeah, it was coming from everywhere. To the point where like you had broadcasters on the team posting on social media basically why the team and I'm just like,
When Juan is sending me texts that people are getting emotional, like
yeah,
we've
So
reached an all-time high, folks.
I get it. We're gonna get into September. There's 30 games left. The Dodgers have a 2-game lead, so by no means is the division wrapped up. I'm just telling everybody, take it easy, man. Take it easy.
We're supposed to love this game. That's why we watch it.
Don't get caught up in the emotions. And I know I'm guilty of this. Okay. So I'm telling you this from experience. Getting caught up in emotions is not pretty. It is not a good look. I'm just trying to spare you the embarrassment or later on the explanation that you have to give as to why you temporarily lost your mind. So if you find yourself that you are starting to get annoyed, you are starting to get agitated by how the Dodgers are playing, just think of these words. Take it easy, man. That's it.
Hey, it's got to be better than the Nationals game went yesterday. Did you see the little blurb that got dropped? When they were playing against the Yankees in Wednesday's game, they had 77 pitches thrown in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to talk about Contreras throwing his bat.
Oh no! I mean, there were many instances of that, but I'm just saying, like, it could be worse. They had 2 pitchers in that inning. They gave up 4 home runs, 4 base hits, 2 walks. So between Cade Cavalli and Shinosuke, I hope I don't butcher his name, Ogasawara. 77 pitches. That's brutal. So this is baseball. Like, weird stuff is going to happen. Sometimes it's not going to be in our favor. It's going to make us unhappy. But like Juan says, say it again, Juan.
Yeah, look, this is the first week I'm giving out this award. They might be the winner of this award many times till the end of the season. But this week's Take It Easy Mang Award goes out to the Dodger fan base. Hey, Dodger fan base, take it easy, Mang.
I didn't realize it was an award, but okay, here we go.
It'll make them feel better. They won an award.
Okay.
All right. So that's going to do it for this episode. For those of you that have been listening to us on the audio, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Read us, write us a review. Help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Yes, Amy?
I was just going to say, shout out to all the cool people I meet around the stadium and get to talk baseball with who end up watching our show and letting me know. Met a couple new people this week at the games, and thank you so much for, if you listen, if you don't, just for the good conversation. Like, I'm sure Juan's going to talk to more people tomorrow, but thank you so much.
And there you have it. So, for the lovely Reina, she is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.